As the Cowboys work their way through OTAs into minicamp and then training camp before the season actually gets here, I want to look at some potential changes to the Cowboys' starting lineup this upcoming season. Before we break that down, if you can't wait for football to be back, we are still months away from even training camp, show it by liking today's video, please and thank you, right now. There is one major change we know is happening. The coaching staff has changed. I actually don't want to overlook this part, and I'll try to do a good job of not overdoing it, but reminding everybody, there is potentially no bigger impact to this team. That man right there, Brian Schottenheimer, the Cowboys' new head coach. There is a lot of pressure on Schotty. He is a first-time head coach. The Cowboys they did more this year than they did in the final year of Mike McCarthy's era. Let's put it that way. I think in general, the range of outcomes is much larger with Schottenheimer in place than had it been if even Mike McCarthy came back. There is the scenario in which Brian Schottenheimer is an upgrade. He was a sleeping giant all this time, and he ends up taking the bull by the horns and becoming a potential top 10 coach. In the way that, when was the last time the Cowboys had an actual top 10 coach? I don't really think that was McCarthy in his time in Dallas. Certainly was not Garrett. It wasn't Wade. Parcells? A long time ago. Or there is the scenario of, hey, it turns out the guy that nobody wanted as head coach isn't good. And he ends up just being outmatched for this role. And for as good as the vibes are, the other elements of him as the coach just don't work out. And that could be a bad season or a great season. It opens up a wide range of outcomes of this could be really good or really, really bad. The Cowboys have overhauled their coaching staff. Everything's new. Outside of a few spots. Like Schottenheimer was on the staff last year, but he wasn't the play caller. Now he is. Matt Eberflus is in place as the defensive coordinator. That defense might have a bit of a slow start. It's happened in previous years with a new defensive coordinator in place. Clayton Adams, I'm very intrigued by as a non-play calling OC. Nick Sorensen was the Niners defensive coordinator last year, now back in maybe a more natural fit for him as a special teams coordinator, plus all the different assistants that have been swapped out, replaced, changed as well. So be honest with me. What is your confidence level in the Cowboys coaching staff? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1, the low end, 10, the high end. I want honest answers at the pinned comment. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. All right, let's go position by position. The starter at quarterback, it's Dak Prescott. And this needs to be the case for the vast majority of the games this year. He has to stay healthy. That has actually been my big concern right now, is that at this age, Dak Prescott isn't likely to, magically stay incredibly more healthy. In fact, over the last 5 years, Fergie was an Iron Man before this. Did not miss time. It was incredibly healthy his first 4 seasons. 5 games in 2020. Did play 16 in 2021, 17 in 2023, 12 and 8 in 2021 and 2024. Got to get him healthy again. Every other year has kind of been the trend there. He has to stay healthy. If he's not healthy, everything we're about to discuss kind of doesn't matter. It's not going to be good enough. You can still win some games. We saw that. But to do playoffs and more like we all want, he has to stay healthy and has to look like the 2023 version. Frankly, I thought the 2024 version was, for as much grief as he got over the picks in 2022, the 2024 picks were more his fault. And maybe he was trying to do too much. You need a better version of Dak than what you saw last season, or else it's just not going to matter. Let's go to the running backs. I think talent-wise, the position groups, this is one of like your 2 big question mark spots, right? It's going to be a rotation. Starter almost doesn't matter. And we'll see who makes the roster, but whoever makes the roster, I think is going to play. Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue. We'll see about Deuce Vaughn. Maybe Phil Maffa. There is kind of some, and we'll do like breakout candidates and bounce back candidates. There's 2 obvious bounce back candidates here. Javonte Williams is first up. He can pass protect. He can do some pass catching. The, really good 2021 first-year player out of North Carolina, I haven't seen that post-injury. And now he's full 2 years removed from it. Can he look more like that early career Javonte? If not, you've kind of got serviceable there. Miles Sanders at one point in Philadelphia looked like one of the better backs in football. He's averaging almost 5 yards per carry on a massive workload at over almost 260 carries. He was outright bad in Carolina. So again, does he bounce back? Or do the Cowboys have to rely on a guy that's got 214 career carries to be the quote-unquote lead back? I don't think you can realistically expect Jaden Blue to approach 200 carries. I don't think that's fair. But can he get you 200 touches on the ground and through the air? And that becomes all of a sudden, then you're approaching 10-plus touches per game. That is probably the limit on Blue's workload, but those touches could be incredibly explosive. Or maybe he shows more than he did at Texas. He is young. He is talented. But that running back rotation, extremely up for grabs and could see midseason changes even. 3 likely wide receiver starters, obviously CeeDee Lamb, obviously George Pickens. I think there is a scenario in which Tolbert maybe gets phased out as the year goes along, but I think he's the clear-cut number 3 on this team. Like, he, down the stretch last year, became the number 1. Hopefully you get more from Jonathan Mingo this year. Turpin will be involved, don't get me wrong. That's going to be more of a gadgety type of player than anything else. Mingo probably should have had more catches if Cooper Rush didn't have issues throwing the ball downfield. But the addition of Pickens, I think, does push him down the pecking order to the 4/5 in the end. Now, you can get George Pickens jerseys. They are on pre-order. They'll pick a number at some point soon. Go to chatsports.com/Pickens to get your jersey today. You can pre-order it. They'll ship it out with the official jersey as well. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. chatsports.com/Pickens. Starting at tight end is Jake Ferguson. Again, kind of a no-brainer here. This is your obvious guy. We'll see how much of Luke Schoonmaker we truly see. I think maybe they do try to do some more 2 tight end personnel. But that's been a refrain I've heard for years coming out of the building of, we want to do more 2 tight end personnel stuff. And then they, ride with 11 personnel the entire time, which is, I think, better asset management anyway. I need 2023 Fergie. Never looked right this year. Had the early knee injury, first game, never kind of came back. I think he really missed Dak Prescott. I don't think he had the same chemistry with Cooper Rush. Schoonmaker and Rush had more chemistry. It's how backups tend to be sometimes. You need a bounce-back year from Jake Ferguson. Have to have it. You get 2023 production with what we expect from Lamb and Pickens. It's really good passing game statistically. So will Fergie bounce back in 2025? Why for yes and for no? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Pretty clear-cut offensive line, knock on wood, barring injuries. Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele. I think if there's other guys playing major snaps on the offensive line, probably is a bad thing. Probably means injuries or really, really bad play struck this team. But they go 3 deep right now, and that'll make for an interesting preseason as well. On the defensive side, this is yet another offseason of changes coming. It went from Dan Quinn to Mike Zimmer, now to Matt Eberflus. Those defensive changes are challenging for, I think, some players more than others. At defensive tackle, I think there's 2 starters. There will be a rotation, obviously. Osa Odigizua and also Mazi Smith. I am optimistic that Osa's fit in Eberflus's defense is going to be a strong one. And I'd have been really worried about this defensive tackle room if they didn't have Osa. They might have taken Walter Nolan in round 1 instead, frankly. Mazi Smith, this is kind of challenging for him in particular because he's had a different defensive coordinator every year in the NFL. He's always had to learn a new scheme. Now, it's not quarterbacks, so it's not as drastically different, but he has to show up. It is kind of now or never for Mazi Smith up front. And you'll see Solomon Thomas and other rotation defensive linemen, but you need Mazi to be a starting caliber player this year, or else your run defense, again, is going to have issues in big games. Now, we've got you covered all off-season long, all preseason, in-season. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Let's go to the defensive end grouping. It's obviously going to be Micah Parsons leading the way. He's going to play a big role of snaps. So give him some rotation like all players do outside of really Max Crosby. And then it'll be a rotation of others. I think most notably, this will end up being led by Dante Fowler. But Mike is going to get the majority, and then you'll see a bunch of other defensive ends play. You'll see Dante Fowler, especially on third downs, I think be out there on a pretty heavy rotation of snaps, and he'll be involved after a 10.5 sack season. He might not get 10.5, but if you can get 6 sacks this year out of Dante Fowler, it's a good thing. Hopefully there's some better run defense. Donovan Ezeraku will be a rotation piece. He'll be involved, and maybe he can even usurp Dante Fowler as the year goes along somehow. Marshawn Nealand, I think, is going to be asked to do a lot of run-stopping stuff. Peyton Turner could also shift inside some. Sam Williams, hopefully he's healthy, but a lot riding on him as well. The linebacker room is where I am most intrigued by what it looks like week 1 and what it looks like as the year goes along. This has there's an actual asterisk on here, frankly. Because I think week 18, Overshown will be one of your starters. Eberflus doesn't mind doing some 3 linebacker sets, but figuring out what this linebacking room looks like week 1 and how it changes as the year goes along is actually really interesting to me. Because you're going to have Damone Clark, Kenneth Murray, Maurice Leafau, Jack Sanborn, others, Shamar James, all fighting for snaps early on. And then in theory, Overshown gets healthy. And he takes one of those starting spots. Now, it's 2025. You're going to mostly be in nickel. You'll have your middle linebacker, your weak side linebacker, your strong side linebacker, and base personnel. Is Kenneth Murray, does he get replaced by Overshown as the year goes along? As the most experienced one, and I guess most proven of this bunch, you probably put him as like linebacker 1 for week 1. Does Maurice Leafau take another step forward? As of right now, you look at your base personnel linebackers in some capacity. I think it's Kenneth Murray. I think it's Maurice Leafau. I think it's Jack Sanborn too. But what happens when Overshown comes back? Who is your? I think those are your top 3 right this second. When you go to nickel, who stays out there? Make arguments for all 3 guys. When Overshown comes back, who also stays out there? Ideally, it's Leafau, because that means he's taken a step forward. But then what do you do with Murray and Sanborn and Overshown? It's like, I am really intrigued once we get to probably training camp and maybe some mini camp stuff of like, okay, what is the linebacker rotation like? Who has the green dot, by the way? Sanborn knows the Eberflus defense the most. Does Kenneth Murray get it? I think he's better when he's able to play freely. Does Leafau get it? Is he the middle? Who's weak side, Mike Strong? Like, I'm extremely curious. I just don't know what that linebacker rotation is going to look like this upcoming season. So with that in mind, because if you get the guy who plays the most snaps, linebacker probably leads the team in tackles. Who does lead the Cowboys in tackles this year? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Another note here on corner is this is also probably going to change as the year goes along. We know Deron Bland is one starter. Where is it, though? Is it on the outside or at nickel? I think the worst case scenario and the best case scenario is it involves Deron Bland at nickel, right? Worst case scenario, week 1, Israel Mukuamu cannot play, which I don't think is going to happen. And he has to sub in at nickel because there's nobody else that can do it, which opens up giant question marks on the outside. Best case scenario, once Trayvon Diggs is back and healthy, and maybe Savone Revel is on the outside, you put Bland at nickel. Diggs, I think, will start once he's healthy. I don't know when that is going to be. So again, mid-season change is probably going to happen here for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's assume week 1 starters are Deron Bland on the outside, and I think it'll be Israel Mukuamu on the inside. He's in line to have a Rico Dowdle-esque season. In line to not getting paid a lot of money, but because of the lack of other options, he emerges as a nickel corner starter, at least to begin the year, and then he can reevaluate once Deron Bland potentially ends up coming back. Then there's Savone Revel, who we'll see if he's ready to go week 1. He hasn't played that much, G5 level football. But I think there's some good buzz, some vibes about when he's going to be able to be healthy and good to go. In an ideal world, Diggs comes back healthy, plays great. Revel is everything I hope he can be early on, which you probably got to have some patience there anyway. And he and Deron Bland are a great trio. And maybe even do some creative stuff on early downs where, you don't put Deron Bland nickel until passing downs, and you can, give Diggs some time to maybe not be involved on early downs if you're worried about the run stopping. And you can put Bland and Mukuamu and Revel and still working Izzy in there. And if early on, though, who's your other starter? Is it Revel? Or do you have to give reps to Elam and Carson? Or Booth? All of which is kind of dicey, frankly. Safety's pretty straightforward. Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker will be your starters. I will probably be advocating at some point for more snaps for Marquise Bell and Wanye Thomas, but I'm just going to be a bit patient on that one because I don't know what the timing will look like for when those guys are actually able to make the impact I want them to. Specialists will go quick here. Obviously, it's Brandon Aubrey, Brian Anger, Trent Sieg, Kavontae Turpin. Battle to watch. Who's your backup return man? Deuce Vaughn, Wanye Thomas? Do they try Jaden Blue? I'm actually not sure at this point.